Hello, everybody.
Hello.
We always start
Hello
off with the
there.
best start intros. We are the Skeleton Crew. We're not the Skeleton Crew. We are the Jedi Archives doing the Skeleton Crew after show. If you're new to the show, my name's John.
I'm Mike.
I'm Bryce. We pretty much are the skeleton crew.
I'm Neil. As long as I get to be Neil. Today we are reviewing episode. I think it was episode 5, right?
It is.
Mhm.
It's episode 5. You have a lot to learn about pirates.
Which is a very, very fitting title for this episode.
My little co-pilot.
What's his name? Is it Teak or is it you doing a different his own name?
This is Teak.
What's Teak?
He's going to guide us through this episode.
Oh, cool. Did Teak ever talk, or was it just like creature sounds?
He just made little creature sounds. He didn't really talk.
Yeah, he didn't talk.
Not in the
Wicked could speak basic though, but not.
not at the beginning. He had to learn it later.
Oh, really?
I'd say
It's
that
been-
all the Ewoks
so
can speak basic. Didn't you watch the Ewok cartoon?
In the cartoons, yes, but not in the
I love
movies.
the Ewok cartoons.
Yeah. So in episode 5, you have a lot
think-
to learn about pirates. Wendell's visited. It opens up on at Atten, just like I thought from the last episode that we had to get back to Atten because we had to find out what's going on with the parents. And so Wendell's visited at work by Numa, and that's Neil's mother. And she tells him that they need something, a barrier access code, right? Because
Mhm.
they want to send a message out to the kids. And she gives him a tool because he doesn't have the access to that to get into the system. So she goes, "Here, use this." And I was trying to figure out what that was because it looked like something from, my childhood, something we
totally
did when we were
Mickey
kids,
Mouse
right?
USB
Oh, that was
drive.
MacGyver.
I know, but it looked like some of the. I was trying to figure out, is that something from like one of the toys that we used like from Atari or when I was a kid from our gaming systems? Because it looked like something that I used when I was a kid. So I was trying to figure out what that was, but I couldn't. But it was like all too crumpled up. So he's so obvious. Poor Wendell, he can't play it off, and he's like all nervous, going back all uptight to his cubicle, and but a safety droid catches him. Right, he's using the tool. And did you catch
What was with the wasting our time with the show me your left hand, show me your right hand?
Oh,
I
that's
was like-
funny.
That was a waste of my time. Is what it was. I'm like, just catch the guy. I'm just
I know.
Lord.
Oh, Ron, that was
You
hilarious.
guys, wait, before that though, did you notice when he was like trying to like download the stuff? Didn't it look like when you're playing playing the Outlaws when you're trying to hack the codes, the thing that turns? It looked
Kinda,
like
yeah.
it. Yeah, so that's what it looked like to me. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I was like, come on, Wendell, stick it behind in the back of your pants and then put out both hands. Come on, you could have done better, Wendell.
It was a waste of time.
Yeah, it was.
It really was.
So the safety
I thought it was-
droid
I thought it was
catches him.
perfect.
It was.
thought
It
it was
was. It's good for a kids show. Kids love that. So the droid catches him using the tool, and then but Farrah covers for him, and she's brilliant, just like her daughter. Farrah
What?
Fern.
One thing that did bring to light a little bit was that some people were speculating, even I was like, is this world really controlled by droids? And that makes me think that it's not completely controlled by droids. They went to a human or whatever Star Wars human's called, but a life form, not a droid, to turn her in. And then she told him like erase everything.
Power
off.
down. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so he still could have like secondary things, but it's very interesting that he went to a human and not a droid over that. So it makes me think maybe droids aren't ruling everything. So I know some people are
Yeah, because we don't know
speculating
who the supervisor is.
Right.
but that to
We
me
just-
that feels like humans are involved or so life forms are involved somehow.
But there sure are a lot of droids.
There are a lot of droids.
Mm-hmm. An awful lot of droids.
Yeah.
So then Farrah did cover up for him, and she erased his memory of that incident. And then she tells him we've got to go through the proper channels. And Wendell's like, "But how's it working? It's not working so far. And we've got to get our kids back."
Right.
He's worried. And so then he doesn't believe the supervisor is going to help them. And then we go quickly back to the Onyx Cinder. So it was just enough to let us know that something's happening back on at Atten. So there's something's going on. Um, and then back on the Onyx Cinder, they turn SM-33 back on, right? And he promises for the
Yes.
captain's orders. And then we find out who the old captain was. It was Tack Renaud, right? And at the sound of his name, of course, God is all excited because he's like a big time pirate. So God tells
Hmm.
the kids, he's all like, he's geeking out because this is the great Captain Tack Renaud.
Right. It's like what the other pirates aspire to be.
Right, right. And he's the most infamous pirate in the galaxy. The story goes he was searching for the treasure of Ad Atten when he disappeared, and the droid starts telling the story to the kids how he had the coordinates, but then there was a mutiny, and then he was talking about his concubine, and then Jod's getting all into it, and then but then the kids are like, "What's a concubine?" And Jod's like, never mind that," because he's like, "Things not for kids," right? Which is funny.
Yeah.
Um, so then Wim just like takes off, right? Something's wrong with Wim. He's a little upset. And so then John goes off to see like what's going on with him, and Wim's crying. And then we see that John doesn't want to deal with emotions. He's
Right.
put off by that, and he's kind of like, oh, ew, let
He
me
talks
just
about attachments.
right. And then he tells him he has to forget his attachments, right? Which is Jedi training, right? So he's going back to like all the stuff that's like Jedi training. So he has had some Jedi training because he's using those words, and he even tells him your focus is determines your reality, which is what Qui-Gon had told Anakin in
Hmm.
Episode
When
One.
they arrived on Coruscant.
hmm When he's told by Yoda that he cannot train alone, he goes, "Listen to me." He's like, "We're gonna go because Yoda wants us to do this first. Go with the Queen. But listen, your focus. Don't forget, your focus determines your reality." So that's the first thing he tells Anakin. And so these are words that are within the Jedi training code. So Jod does know things about the Jedi training, even though he's not a Jedi. And because Wim
I
asks
would
him,
say he's not a Jedi, but I do believe he was trained
he's had some training.
as.
He's aware of it.
Well,
He's
I
aware
believe
of
he
it.
was actually on Coruscant prior to. If you think of his age, he would. When you think of where are we at here? So we've got Episode 3, got Order 66, and then you got the original trilogy, and we're now into Mando first with this
This is about
show.
45 years after.
So he could have been a youngling at that
hmm
point,
Could have been, yes.
or he could have, because you think of Jude Law's like actual age at being 51, it's not, if they play to his age, it's not entirely unlikely that, or maybe we find out that how they tie it in is he was one of Luke's students and
That's
bailed,
true too.
and he could have bailed when Kylo
Destroyed his
destroyed
school.
everything.
hmm
So there's I believe he was actually trained as a Jedi, and then something along the way he just kind of like left the order, like Balin Skull did, or like Ahsoka did. Like they're they were trained, but then denounced the order on their own.
hmm What do you think, Jonathan?
I would like it if he wasn't a Jedi at all, but he grew up idolizing the Jedi, kind of like Wim.
Like Wim?
Yeah, kind of heard these things. Never actually become a Jedi or nothing, but like idolized them and thought they were like superheroes, and that's why he knows some of the lines and stuff like that. I honestly, I don't think there's enough evidence to say what he's been through or anything like that. So I just think that'd be cool if that was it, kind of similar to women idolizing him and learn some of the stories, but then maybe they didn't come save him one day. That's why he kind of doesn't really follow the Jedi way or anything like that now. But it's very, very interested in seeing his backstory.
Well, because he obviously can use the Force because he did pull up the data pad
Yeah,
very
but
easily. Yeah.
Well, and then later on, he used it a couple
Oh
more
yeah,
times.
yeah. He's used it quite a few times. So it's not just random, and it's not
Yeah,
tricks. It's not just tomfoolery.
yeah, but
Um,
and why you can say he's not a Jedi is he's using the Force to his advantage. He's not using it to help other people.
yes, absolutely. Yes. Um, so Smee tells the kids that he doesn't remember um, the coordinates, but he says that the captain did have them in his lair under Skull Ridge Mountain, which is most
which
likely a
is
reference to Skull Rock, right? Peter
like,
Pan. Go
yeah,
ahead, John.
it's super piratey, like
Yeah.
Skull Ridge Mountain. I was like, I guess it's yeah, but it's still for kids.
No, 100%, but that's what makes it great.
So then, Fern tells him, "Well, take us there. Take us there, and let's find these coordinates." So they arrive on the planet of Skull Ridge Mountain to find that it's now a neutral
Well,
planet.
no, it's planet that's it starts with an L. It just
Yeah,
where
Lanupa.
yeah, and then they just happen to go to this new spa like resort, which was the captain's hideout.
Yeah, it's Lanupa, and it's a new planet created for the show, and it's more to me. It was like kind of like a casino planet because it's only for adults.
It
So
was
it's like
kind of there, but it also like the mud pits and some of the terrain, like how they were leveled, reminded me of Kessel with the mines and stuff.
oh
As they
yeah,
were walking across that field to get to the Falcon, like
hmm
it totally reminded me of that same kind of.
that's true. hmm
So, who knows? Maybe it's in the same system.
And then the other thing too is, did you notice that there were huts there, and there were also munes there,
Hmm.
two species of aliens that are from the banking clan and then the
Yeah.
hut clan, which are important because the munes, the banking clan, who else was immune was Darth Plagueis, right?
Right.
Oh,
And
maybe that was Darth Plagueis taking a mud bath.
There's a
what,
meme
what kind
saying
of
that
writing did you see on the walls when they were on the top by the mud baths? You saw what is that writing? The ancient Sith writing. What is it called?
is that what it was?
Yeah, it was that Sith writing. The uh, what is that? What do they call
I
that writing? The Kitat at Kitat or what is that Sith writing?
Kit Kat,
Kit Kat. Yeah, that's it. The
Kit Kat
Ur
writing.
Kitat. Kitat. The Kitat. Well,
okay.
remember he tells Jod tells KB to document all that writing, the Kitat, because she can like record it with her visor. But
Hmm.
Kitat is that ancient Sith writing, and there were lots of munes there, and Darth Plagueis was immune, and he was part
No,
of the
it's
banking
it's
clan.
Kittat,
Mm-hmm.
Kitat,
Kitat.
or Kitat. Yeah,
Yeah. So I just
that's a
thought it
tough
was
one.
interesting that we have huts there, and we also have munes
And
there.
what hut? You know what I mean? Like,
Oh,
The one
that's
with the
definitely stinky.
tattoo, that one
Definitely
tattoo,
stinky.
he's the one of the twin huts that had hired Black Chrysanthemum, right?
Oh, it
And
was.
oh,
well,
I didn't.
look at
I
his
guess I didn't
tattoo.
catch that. I didn't catch that. Okay.
He had the chin tattoo, which was remember on Book of Boba Fett, the twin huts that hired Black Chrysanthemum. Remember they were on the they were
Yeah, I
carrying
remember
on that
them.
big
I don't remember they had
platform.
tattoos, but
One of the twins had a tattoo on the chin, and that was the identical tattoo of that hut that was in the mud pit
mm.
that ate that little servant that brought
I
the
don't get
food.
that. That was hilarious. Not again. Not again. I was like, what does that mean? Not again.
No, no. And he just like got him and ate him. Like, no,
Does it mean like he just expels him and then does it again?
I don't
I'm s-
know.
I'm so confused about that. Not
Maybe he
again.
just
Not again.
passed him. Maybe he just passed him. He didn't die. I
Oh
don't
my
know.
god.
It was pretty funny.
Not
that
again. Not again. It's like, what's happening? That was pretty. That was great. Horrible.
was. But they did show that tattoo pretty prominently. So and that was the same tattoo because I went back and pulled up that episode of
Okay.
Book of Boba Fett, and it was the exact same tattoo. And so, I mean, maybe it's a popular tattoo among the huts. So who knows? Um, but yeah, so that was pretty cool. And they tell him no children allowed, right? So then John's like, "Well, you guys stay on the ship," and Fern's like, "No, we're going." And he's like, and Smee's like, "No, I go where the captain goes." So then he figures out, okay, we're gonna we'll do a plan. So when he says we're here with the elders, right? And then the kids look like Jawas, right? They're all like
Oh
in
God.
costumes, and he's like,
Yeah.
I've got these elders from the Bratrick system, and the kids are just like ridiculous, right? And he's like, they don't speak basic, so I have to translate for it. He's like, just gibberish, and then uh, and then John pays off the hotel manager with
The
their
data links
dataries,
or whatever.
right? The dataries, which are those very valuable money High Republic pieces that they have. Um, and she very quickly puts them into her sleeve because they're very valuable. Um, and then he says, "Oh yeah, I'm Professor Gorlox, right?"
I don't think it's one of them. The tattoo on the one with Book of Boba Fett has like a gem in the center of it, and the one in here didn't. But what people are suggesting is that it is one of their one of the twins, maybe like clan member that also happens to be a hut.
Well, maybe, but it looks a lot like it.
Yeah, no, I I
It's
I,
very
I agree. I
similar.
didn't catch that, but yeah. What is where was that? Oh, cool. Never mind. My iPhone doesn't want to read the story.
And so then he takes that the name Professor Gorlox, right? And he takes the reservation. And then as he's taking that reservation, this other alien comes up and she goes, "Oh, fancy meeting you here." And she uses a name and she calls
Pocket.
him Dash Zenton, right?
Yeah.
And
Oh
then
yeah, him.
and then uh Neil is like, "How many names does he have?" You know? He's
Yeah,
just
that was a
like,
good part.
he's got all these names. And Dash Zenton reminds me of like Dash Rendar, right? So I'm thinking,
Yeah.
oh, so many like popular names. He has all these aliases. And she's
It
a
would have
bounty.
been cooler if it was Dash Rendar,
I know, that would have been really cool.
because then it would have kind of started loosely tying that Shadows of the Empire into canon, which I
And I love
dream one
Shadows of
day
the
that'll
Empire.
happen.
That was super fun game, super fun tie-in. I liked all
My
that.
favorite Star Wars game of all time is that game.
Super fun. I love that whole tie-in too. And she's a bounty hunter for a private client now, she says. And she says no hard feelings that he left her in a pool of what was it? Not eels, leeches, right?
Yes,
And uh and then she tells the kids, "Don't you trust this Slimo?" You know,
right. Which is,
everyone that encounters the kids tells them, "Don't trust him," right? So we know he's not trustworthy. And her
but
name
I
is
think
Pocket.
the Sleemo is kind of nice because of the way she says it reminds um me of how Anakin said it about Sebulba in Episode
Yeah,
One.
definitely. Yeah, good tie-ins. And then Wim, Fern, and Smee are
But can we
uh,
talk about Pocket for a second?
sure.
So Pocket, the lady that plays her,
Kelly
was the
McDonald.
voice of, yep, the voice of Merida in Brave.
Mm-hmm.
She was also in Boardwalk Empire as Nucky Thompson's love interest. She was also in Harry Potter. So like cool that she's now, Star Wars, but she's definitely, an actress that has been in a lot of different genres.
Yeah,
But
she's
she
awesome.
also reminds me of the alien species Trek Hawken moment. Was it Star Wars Beyond or whatever it was? Star Trek Beyond,
Star
the
Trek
third,
Beyond.
the third Calvin
Yeah,
timeline movie
yeah.
where she's on the planet and Simon Pegg runs across, like very similar. The hair, the white, just not having the tattoos, and voices were similar too, even though um, it isn't the same actress, but I thought there was
That
some resemblance there
those are
from.
the vibes I got when I saw her.
She reminded me of the Barash from the High Republic because she was all white with
Oh
the
yeah,
white eyes and the white hair,
yeah.
so of that. So she reminded me within Star
Maybe
Wars
that's
universe
maybe that's what.
of
Yeah,
that
maybe that's what she
species.
is.
So
Yeah,
within
I didn't
Star
think
Wars
about that.
universe, I thought of the Barash Sylvain
Yeah, I went straight Star
species,
Trek on that one,
hmm
just
which
because there was
I
a similar
appreciate
tone and
that. Yes,
voice. There's a very similar tone and voice to that character in Star Trek Beyond.
yeah, very cool, very cool. Um, So then she tells him, "Don't worry, I'm not gonna, I don't work for the bounty. No more puck involved, so I'm not gonna rat you out." Which of
Right.
course she does, because right very next scene, she's contacting Brutus, telling him where to find Jod, aka Silvo. And so then
AKA
a
Dash Zenton, AKA
aka
what was the other one?
the pirate named the
Red Baron or something like that.
no,
The
there's
red.
too many. So then
Yeah, I can't remember what that. Yeah,
So then Wimfern and Smee, so he tells them that they have to look for the symbol that Captain Renaud had left, which looked very similar to the original Nile insignia of the lightning bolts, right? That's what I thought of. Remember
mm,
the original insignia was a lightning bolt slash, but there were three, but now it's just two. So it looked a lot like the original Nile insignia of during the High Republic era.
but I mean, I don't think that's necessarily like a loose connection. That could be a direct connection because essentially the Nile were pirates. They just weren't called
Yeah, they were.
pirates.
They were pirates. Right.
You
Right.
know,
They were
so
marauders. And they
right.
were
So
stealing. Yes. And they did call themselves marauders at the beginning too of this they used the word marauders at the beginning of Skeleton Crew, that they were marauders. So interesting. uh uh so Neil, KB, and Jod get stopped by an officer when they're looking for clues, right? Because they split up into two teams. And then Jod tells them to run because they ask him, "Hey, are you and they use his name, right? Gorlox,
oh,
Professor
the guy that
Gorlox.
looks like a New Republic security guard
Yes. And he goes from
reminds me of.
Scipio. Reminds you of what?
Oh yeah. No, I'd say it kind of reminds me of like when with Mando when they were on the prison ship, Matt Lanter's
Oh yes,
appearance in Mandalorian. That same
right.
similar helmet and one color type uniform.
It's the same one. Yeah, nondescript. And it's funny because Scipio, everyone that lives on Scipio they're all munes. So he obviously is not immune, because they have that
Right.
long no nose face. So it's very obvious that he's not immune. Um so then Wim tells and then Wim is telling the Cephalops' story about how the children came to be on Lanupa because they're downstairs in the women Fern and Smee are in the I guess it's the not the basement but the tunnels
Yes.
in the underground looking for clues too, and they do find the symbol, but there's like this uh octopus creature down there. And he's like, "Bring me refreshments." And she's like, "Oh, I'll be right back." He's like, "You don't smell like a servant, right?" And he's
Hmm.
like, "Are you an assassin?" And at
There's a
that
great
point,
cutaway right there, so it makes you think something's wrong's happening.
right, right.
Yeah.
And then Wim's like, "Hey, we need help." And that's when you see everyone's in
Yeah.
trouble. Um,
Well, just remember what their call signs are.
Jedi 1 and Jedi 2.
But also very similar to how the Ghost was Spectre 1, Spectre 2,
Yes.
Spectre 3. So I feel like that was kind of a cool little nod maybe to Rebels, but because Wim and Neil are fascinated by the Jedi, Wim more than Neil,
Neil
it's
just
kind of
follows along. He's a good friend. He plays along with whatever Wim wants to do. He's a good friend. Poor thing getting himself in a lot of trouble because of Wim.
He'd be home right now with milk and cookies if it wasn't for Wim.
Yep. And then at the same time, we have Brutus has sent two ships, right, to go collect Silvo, aka Jod, aka
Yeah.
all his long list of names.
Dash Denton.
Dash, yes. So Wim is talking to when our oh, so KB saves them actually because she pulls out. He's like, "You're under arrest, for endangering the elders." And then KB's like, "We're not elders, we're kids." And he's like, "Well, you're under arrest too."
Mm-hmm.
So then she whips out a like a tool. He's like, "What do you do with that?" They all start laughing at her. And
Right.
she undoes a bolt or something, and they all get sprayed into the pits. And then that's the chance that Jod punches out the guard behind them, and then we hear somebody else is coming, and it's Smee. And he's like, "You got to come
Yep.
down and help the captain. She needs your help." And they all rush down there,
Which
and
we find out she actually doesn't.
she doesn't need help because they've been telling Sitholops a story of how they got to
Uh,
Lanupa.
I noticed, which I love that creature. Absolutely loved it. I love big monstrous creatures in Star Wars. But its name is very close, especially when you read it. It just reminds me of the Cthulhu, the mythologic monster, whatever you call it. And so it's kind of like it, this giant octopus monster. So I wonder if that's kind of called back to that. But it's very, very cool to see the
Crimson
creature.
Jack.
Crimson Jack, yeah. But Cthulhu,
So
just like in the Pirates movies, right? We
Yeah,
had Cthulhu.
yeah.
But it's
So it's
Sitholops.
really cool.
That was
I,
cool.
I loved it. I loved that monster. So give me
Me
more of it.
too. And then he does help. And he also tells them, "You're right. Don't trust him. Don't. He's not trust." And he sniffs him first. He's like, "Yeah, no, don't trust him. He's not trustworthy." And Jaw's like, "Yeah, great. Thanks for that." So, and he helps the kids by breaking the stone that had Reno's symbol on it, and he allows them to have access to the lair. Um, so then Brutus and his crew arrive on Lanupa, and they get the two ships that are escorting them in, just like on Cloud City, right? When they had
mm,
the escort in. But as soon as they're being escorted, they blast them out of the sky, right? The escorts.
yeah, they let the big one came down first, which was very like a smaller version of the Onyx Cinder.
It was a smaller version
Um, and so that's the one that they pulled up to. So the other pirate ship was kind of hanging in the back, and then that's when
that
came in and
blasted them
shot the
out.
two, and
Hmm.
then they landed. Then you realize those ships are a lot smaller than the Onyx Cinder.
Yeah,
But
the
going
Onyx is a big
back
one.
is we finally, we all know because the Lego was released way before the show was that that's the Onyx Cinder. But we find the name Onyx Cinder in the show when SM33 is going through, or Smee is going through that story. And that's when Jude Law was like, wait, this is the Onyx Cinder? Like,
Right,
it's kind of like a Blackbeard ship, right?
right,
And it has that same, aura about it. Like, if you see it coming, like, oh boy. Like the pirate backs up the ship backs up the pirate in notoriety.
right. But it took this long for us to find out in the show. So, but
Right.
we've known since the beginning, thanks to Lego.
Correct. Yeah.
Thanks,
Thanks
Lego.
to Lego.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiling everything, Lego.
No, but I'm glad we knew. I'm glad we knew. But that's cool.
Yeah.
So
Didn't really
Brutus and his crew,
spoil anything.
not really. But Brutus and his
It's a
crew arrive
show.
on Lanupa and they immediately begin to track down Silvo. They get to the entrance to Renaud's lair, but they're blocked by a pool of acid, right? So our friends. And they look to the top, they're trying to solve the riddle, and it says that they've got to do the greatest sacrifice, right? And the kids are like,
Right.
"Oh," and the kids are like, "Oh, we've got to. Somebody has to give their life, the greatest sacrifice." And he's like, "No, you don't know pirates. The greatest sacrifice is
Right.
not your life. We kill people. Greatest sacrifice is," and like, they almost said in unison, "Treasure."
Treasure.
Like,
Right.
yeah. You guys have any more data? He's like, "No, you spent them all." But of course, John wouldn't spend all the dataries because
Yeah.
he's not going to spend them all. He's greedy, so he takes out one more, and of course, he's got some more hidden because he's not going to get rid of all the dataries. He's greedy, so he tosses one in there, and sure enough, the acid, puddles away, and they climb on down. He's like, "Get in there." and then we've got the crew coming after them, and he shuts the door, and they're in there, and that reminded me of like Aladdin's when he gets into the lair of the lamp,
Yeah,
right? It looked just like it.
touch
Oh, see,
only the lamp.
yeah, I got a little bit more of like when
Indiana
they went
Jones.
through. No, when they went through the door, in
Because I got those two vibes. Indiana
National
Jones.
Treasure, right? The first National
Oh,
Treasure, when they go through the door, they finally figure out the puzzle, and they
yeah.
go through the door. They kind of like light the lamp, and it kind of goes through, and all this treasures there. I kind of got that little bit of that discovery. Oh my gosh, we just discovered a treasure vault.
Well,
Hmm.
the thing with this isn't the treasure, which is crazy.
Yeah, it's not the
So
treasure.
yeah,
Well,
you
because
think this would be the treasure, but apparently the treasure is even more than this.
Right.
So
well,
that's
Because
we
it
another
looked
find
like
out what
surprise.
the
it looked like a
treasure
lot of treasure
is.
in there. Yes.
Yeah, we find out
Which
what the treasure
we had
is.
kind of suspected that all along.
I think I said that in the first episode, our
Yeah.
first show.
I
Like
think we all kind
I
of did.
think I
We
know.
said it was
Yeah,
like Fort Knox. We kind of all said it.
yeah.
We said it was
So
like a Fort Knox.
it's
Yeah.
just their credits are way too shiny. I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, this
Hmm.
is where they make the money, and then we find out. Well,
That's
before
where they
we
make
get there,
money.
like, yeah, we find out obviously. There's a recording of the captain, and he says that it's a republic. Did he say old republic or new republic?
Old Republic.
Yeah, old republic. So it's ancient,
Hmm.
but an old
I
republic mint, and obviously they still make.
why would they still continue to make the data reads, which kind of I find very interesting. And their civilization. You don't need more. So I'm really interested in what the great work is. Why do you need analysts to make something apparently you've been doing
Well, there's
thousands of
probably
years?
more to it, but we definitely know there's a mint factory.
Yeah, yeah. But I
And
think there's something else going on there.
the other thing is this too. The thing about minting money, you can't just print unlimited money because then it
Right,
loses value. You can't just print unlimited amounts. So it's not as simple as that.
right.
So it can't just because if that were as simple as that, then we would just like print a
Yeah. So
gazillion dollar bills. It's not that simple. You can't
well,
just like
it is devalued on their planet because it's like his lunch money.
right,
But
right.
Right.
yeah, I'm
Hmm.
just really
But
curious. To
everywhere
see,
else, it's
yeah,
it's gold.
yeah.
That's why you can't just like print as many as you want.
Right.
Right. Yeah. So in there, they're looking, and John warns them, don't touch anything because it's booby trap too, just like the
Mhm.
way in there. And similar to Aladdin's Cave of Wonders, right? Don't touch things because it's booby trapped. So then Wim is looking around, and he finds a lightsaber hilt. And did you notice anything about that lightsaber hilt? What did it look like? It was gold and silver, just like
A High Republic one.
High Republic lightsabers, right? Those were all gold and silver, but
They
also
were,
like
but
the
back in the High
Navi's
Republic, they were a
lightsabers.
lot more. They were a lot more intricate as far as the details and stuff. And
Not
this one was
after the, I know, but not
right.
after
I
the
know.
Nile. At a certain point, remember when the laws
Right.
came in? What were those laws, Jonathan? Or when when they put those 10 commandments that they had to mass produce them?
Oh, not you talking about the Articles of War or whatever.
Yeah.
Those.
Yeah, it was something
Yes.
like that. Yeah.
So when they had to mass produce them, when they got less fancy. But
Yeah, they
remember
just.
also at Savvy's workshop. So that's the ones that they have now too at Savvy's workshop that are
I was
gold.
gonna say
Is
it
the
reminded me of a Savi's Workshop one. It
Yeah, the
did.
Savvy's workshop, which is called Peace and Justice, right? So it
Yeah.
looked like a Peace and Justice lightsaber now at Savvy's workshop, which are the gold
Where-
and silver ones, which is pretty cool. Then they find the captain's log, and they accessed it by because there was that one item of food that was not rotten. Everything else was
Yeah.
rotten except for that. And of course, Neil would find it because he's always hungry. And I'm surprised Wim didn't find it because he's always wanting to eat too. Because remember,
Mm.
they wanted to go search
But I
the
think it was
buffet.
appropriate. I think it was appropriate that Wim found the lightsaber and
Yes,
Neil found
the food.
the food.
Yeah. Well, because his long nose, huh? And then, so then they do. Then they find the captain's log, and they access it. and it has the coordinates, and they find it. And that was pretty cool.
I think
Um,
it's very interesting they did not show the face of the captain. They did not show some alien species or something. It's just
or a
they
human.
it intentionally hid the face.
Hmm.
So I think that's very interesting.
Well, it's a very shoddy hologram because it's old.
It's not.
It's got to be
I
pretty
mean,
old.
they can make it whatever they want to look like it though. It's not like it's an actual hologram that's out of order. They can make it whatever they intentionally. The creators made the face
Well,
look
that's what
like
I
a front
mean, but
face.
it kind of gave you that because it was flickering in or out too with the rest of
Yeah.
But I
Well,
think that's probably there's. I think that's kind of like there's going to be probably like another one that they find that might be the reveal. Like I think the whole captain thing. If it's done after this, it's done, and that's how they left it as a mystery, which is cool. I mean, we kind of know what he looks like. I mean, he was hanging by his dagger in the ship.
we don't know if that was him.
No,
Oh
they
yeah, because he
confirmed
was
it.
killed by his
They
concubine.
confirmed it.
They
He was killed
confirmed
by
that
that
as
was
Oh
him.
yeah,
Yeah,
they said he was killed
he
by
was
his own
killed by his
dagger.
concubine on the ship by his own dagger. So
Yep.
that was him killed by his concubine.
Yeah.
who said that?
Smee.
Smee.
But Smee is not reliable because he lied. He already lied, even on the show, because when they were on, he said that they were killed on at Akron, and then he said in this story that they were killed on at Atten. So
Hmm.
his stories might be getting messed up on his wiring.
I
Well,
might have missed that part.
yeah, but he's also remember the captain told him or programmed him to forget everything about At.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't until Fern.
No, KB, but KB rewired him.
Did she?
Mm-hmm.
Well, KB rewired him, but remember, Fern's the one that overrode him when they're at Akron and said, overrode it, and that's when his memory of Atten, and that's when she said, if the captain ever has anybody come for, said to rip him from limb to limb, and we went through that
Right,
whole
right.
scene. And then the beginning of the episode when they're on Onyx Cinder, she reprogrammed him, and then that's when he was telling the
It's
story.
not going to hurt them, right?
Yeah, so,
Mhm.
yeah. But he confirmed that the captain was killed from his own dagger.
He did say that he was killed by his own dagger, and that was him stabbed, and that was the captain's hat that fell, which is the
Yep.
one that Wim was wearing when they got to Lanupa, which is the
Correct.
same hat you see in the hologram when he's on the chair.
Yep.
It's the same hat that Wim had. So then, and in the recording, he does say that At-Aten is the last Old Republic mint. Old
Correct.
Republic. Mhm.
Yep.
So Strix thinks it's too dangerous for them to go, but then makes them a deal. If the kids train with his warriors, then he'll then. Oh, wait a minute.
That's
Who?
from
What?
episode 4.
Oh, wait, no. Never mind.
What? What's going on?
No, at the end of the recording, that's when Jod
God. Yeah.
turns and says, I, invoke the pirate's right for captaincy, and that's when Smee's like, basically hand-to-hand combat.
To the death.
Yep.
She
And-
should have called
and-
his bluff. He wasn't gonna hit her.
No, he wasn't.
Yeah, I thought
Yeah.
about
She
that.
should have called his bluff.
And
He should have.
I think being a Disney show and not Game of Thrones, yeah, that probably would have. But I think how the story went like that played out for the better.
Yeah.
Just because now we know he
Well, that-
was
I always
in
knew
it for
he was
himself
going-
the whole time.
He's going to betray them and then come back and save them. He's gonna do the Han Solo. He's gonna feel like, you know what? It's more important the treasure is saving these kids. And in the end, he's gonna help save the kids. I already know.
But the funny part is while he's doing this, Wim has the lightsaber. And I knew, just not even necessarily taking a look at the lightsaber to know it was upside down, I had a feeling that when he lit it, it was going to be upside down. And when it was, like, it still was pretty darn funny.
I thought he was going to cut his foot off.
I just think it was just enough to scare him to drop it. And then, of course, he ran back over to Neil at that point. But I knew that was going to happen, but it was still pretty fun.
I thought it was sad. I mean that whole scene was really hard because did you see KB's tear coming down her cheek, and then they were all pretty sad, and
Oh yeah,
even Smee was pretty sad. He said, "Sorry, kids." He was like, he was pretty upset.
oh
Smee
yeah.
didn't like it. Nobody liked it.
No, yes, he did, but he has to honor the Pirates Code because it's his program. Which I feel like maybe KB might rewire him again.
If she can get a chance. But he's already told them that they have to all be put into the brig.
Yeah, which is, I think, a part of the ship we haven't seen yet, so it's kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
But then something else happens. Something unexpected.
What?
They fall.
Oh yeah, because Wim presses up.
Oh yeah, so they don't go to the brig. Yeah, that's right. They
Wim
hammer on
presses.
the thing, and then yeah.
It's such a
Wim
quick
like
little like
looks
that.
over.
Yeah.
He like presses because before when Neil was gonna grab the little roast, he put his knee on the
Open trap
bench
door.
and
Yeah.
the trap door fell.
Yeah.
So then
Yeah.
Wim remembered. So when they're all kneeling there on the floor, he pressed on the bench and they all went through the trap door. So the booby trap.
Which I think the way it'll end up playing out, they went through the trap door, but I have a feeling that they're actually now going to be captured by Brutus's gang and kind of held for ransom.
But Brutus's gang is dead because the acid was released.
We still heard voices, so I don't know if it's all of them. Like,
well,
Yeah,
some of
to
them
me,
died.
it would seem like a really bad way for Jaleel White's character to go out.
Well, some of them died.
Well, I don't doubt it, or
has.
they're severely burned or whatever. But there's still a presence there because they were in the upper levels and
right.
everything else. So
well, I don't think Brutus went.
No, Bruce did not go.
Oh, he sent.
No, that's why I'm saying like Jaleel White was probably the leader of the group that was sent because Vane was not there.
Right.
Which would be interesting to see where Vane is at this point. But the other part too is the lightsabers at the end. Right at the end, the very last scene is Jude Law standing there, and he grabs uses the force to pull it up, and then the camera cuts, and you can hear, he lights the saber.
He called that saber to him, and it went to him.
Yeah. So it's funny because I wonder if there's some connection there, or if he was just able to, what if that was his saber?
Well, I think that the lightsaber, him calling the lightsaber to him, because he hasn't had a lightsaber, right? He has a connection to the Force. He hasn't had a lightsaber all of these episodes, but now I think him having the lightsaber, it's going to be like, I'm thinking like a religious person. Once you've been away from your religion for a while, but then once you come in contact with your religious artifacts, I think it rekindles something in you. So a lightsaber is something very deeply religious for a Jedi. So I think him being in contact with something that deeply religious, it might rekindle something in him where it's like, you know what? It might ignite the spark, like we say on Batu. So
no, that's yeah. He's gonna look at it one time and know the kid's in trouble. He's like, God dang it, I gotta go save these kids.
Yeah, we all knew there was a redemption arc.
Yeah.
It's just how is the redemption arc going to play out?
Yeah, because he's not really an evil person. He's not evil.
Yeah.
Jude Law's character
right now he's at an evil state where his character's at.
Not really evil. But I wouldn't say evil. I mean, he's not.
He's very greedy.
He's greedy, but I wouldn't say evil.
We'll go with villainous. It's very villainous right now because he betrayed the kids.
He's doing the wrong thing. He betrayed the kid. Evil is kind of harsh, but villainous is good.
Making bad choices, yes. Hi.
He's being the bad guy.
Right. You going to bed? All right. Love you.
I love that laugh. So, all right, you guys. So that's the end of this episode. What do you guys think?
It's all right. That's very enjoyable. Like we said, it's a little heavy on the kids stuff, but they're intentionally doing that. The Skull Ridge Mountain stuff like that. That's very, very heavy on the kids, and some of the what do they call it? Not practical jokes, but physical comedy. The hand behind his back stuff. It's very,
Oh, that was
very,
funny.
it's very, very kiddie. But that's what they're going for. It's
It's a
just
kids show.
you could say
Star
it's for
Wars
kids.
is for kids.
Yeah, but there wasn't too goofy. Like the only goofy thing we had was really Jar Jar and the Ewoks. That was even iffy because they were kind of
I don't know. C-3PO and R2 were. There was a lot of comedy there.
they made me laugh, but this was a little cringy kitty, a little past the point. This is the Young Jedi Adventures kitty. This is what this was.
I like.
Nothing wrong with that. I mean,
I
even
like the young.
Oh,
Jedi
you got nubs?
Adventures.
So,
Of course,
you
I have.
you can
nubs.
have comedy and for kids. It's maybe you stay away from a little too obvious, like fart jokes. I think there was one of the.
it was funny
one of
because
the
he was trying to
emus
trick
or
a
whatever they called
droid.
farted the last episode. It's like it's you don't have
It's
to
not
be
so
that.
much the hands behind the thing. It was like how the droid sighed. Right? The droid pretty much sighed. Please show me both hands at the same time. Right? Like it went into the droid went into dad mode.
I think maybe you just identify a little bit more than me.
Oh, I thought it was
But-
hilarious.
Yeah, but no, I'm definitely enjoying it. But it is obviously for kids, but it's still very enjoyable. So that's no knocks on it. I can't wait for more. What do we got?
Yeah, I
3
like
more
it.
weeks?
Do we
Yes,
have a
three
double
more.
episode?
3 more episodes. It's only 8,
Six,
so we've got 3
7,
more episodes. 3.
So,
But are we
besides-
getting a double at the end?
No,
No,
Or is it just double premiere, right?
yeah.
it was
I
double
think the
premiere.
next,
Mhm.
I think the next episode is the Bryce Dallas Howard episode.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
And I
that's
heard this is a really
Christmas
good
Eve,
one.
Or New Year's Eve. Yep, New Year's Eve.
I heard this is a really good episode from the. they
You
did
know
an
what's weird
interview-
is I haven't seen the. You know, when they released the times, there was that one. Remember that showed up at 17 minutes, but that was like, that was like kind of in the middle. We're already past that.
Let me
Huh?
see. I'll tell you which one was the 17. I'll tell you which one it was.
I
Oh, we
think it
can
was
talk about
supposed
it after.
4 or
I
5.
actually, I remember they were talking to the directors, and they said probably the favorite episode was 6. So I'm really excited to see what happens next one.
Well, I don't, who's? Oh, the watch along, with Ardashir. He raved about this episode in the watch along 2 weeks ago.
5?
No,
That's-
6.
Oh, 6?
Because he was on set for that, for some of the work there, but I remember him specifically saying like she is one of the people, like if she were to call, he would drop everything he's doing to come work for her, because she said she just has a way to get the best out of you
Yeah.
all the time, like, and she's just absolutely awesome, which we kind of all thought anyway, because like everything she's directed, from the Mandalorian stuff, so what she was in Book of Boba Fett too, right? Book of
Mhm.
Boba Fett was an episode, and then obviously the Mandalorian seasons she's been a part of. Did she do an Ahsoka
I don't.
too? Did she do an episode of Ahsoka? I can't remember. I know
I
she
don't
hasn't done
think
them all, but she's done quite a few enough to know that, you know, I don't think there was one episode that she's done that isn't one of the higher ranked episodes.
Yeah.
So
Oh, you know what? The next episode is the 17-minute one.
really,
The
Only
episode
17
6.
minutes?
according to what was sent out, we can't really confirm that, but
Well, yeah, according to the times. So, episode 5 was the 48-minute one. Episode 6 is a 17-minute.
That's impossible.
That's what it says here.
That's impossible.
Mm-hmm. Well, we'll see. So we'll see.
Yeah. And they don't release that stuff till the day of. Even IMDb doesn't get any of that
We'll
till
see.
like the day of.
Yeah,
Runtime
Bryce
for real.
Dallas Howard does 6, and then Lee Isaac Chung does 7,
That's 32 minutes, and then the last episode's 31.
and John Watts does the last episode.
That's 31. Well, we'll see. So
Yeah.
I really enjoyed this episode.
This is a very good episode.
It was a very good
This
one.
is the turning point.
I like the lightsaber.
We're on our way
I
home.
like the... So far, I've not been disappointed at all, and we're almost there.
I know a lot. Last week's episode, I would say I wasn't here for it, but they said it was, a lot of filler, and I was like, I don't know about that. I'm like, I really felt like 4 progressed the story pretty well.
I thought all the episodes
we
were
learned.
good.
Yeah, I mean, like we learned. Yeah, I get the rival gangs and everything like that, but we learned so much more when you look at the planet, and it had very similarities to Atten, but it was, it's been warring. It's like World War II, that kind of destruction among the buildings and everything like that is kind of what it reminded me of. Is we've got 2 warring factions that are there, but at the center of it's a tower, right? Just like the same tower as Atten had, and we find that those where the coordinates were, and it's no surprise that the Atten ones were gone because Smee ruined it.
Just me.
So I don't know. I really thought 4 definitely was not a filler. This built onto it. We see the little turn with Crimson Jack or Captain Silvo or Dash Senton, whatever you want to call him. Right now he's in a bad place for betraying the kids. But
That was ugly.
Yeah, it's
So-
gonna bug him. He's not gonna be
Did you
happy
notice?
about
Did
it.
you notice how the knife that he had up to her neck, didn't it look a lot like that knife that had the little coordinates to where the...
No, it didn't.
no, I didn't. I saw it being kind of like a key down
Yes,
towards
it
like
did.
the handle. It had kind of that, but
Yes, it did. Hater.
it looked more like Arnold Schwarzenegger's knife in Predator, or Sylvester Stallone's in Rambo. Like it was one of those like just meat
But it had
cleaver
little
type
notches,
survival
little
knives.
ticks.
It did, but it looked more serrated than it was for like purposeful. But it could be
But
wrong.
It
Maybe
could
you're
have had
right.
little parts because the one. I
This
think we can
one?
bring it-
Did you
Yeah.
3D print that?
No, but
No,
D-
I bought
Disney
it
shop.
too. I have it too.
Oh,
It lights up too. It's cool.
that'd have been a cool 3D print.
Ooh.
yeah, this is
Where did
looking
you guys
like
get it?
the
Was
one.
that at Galaxy's Edge?
Yeah,
No. Oh, is that where we got it? Oh, I got it too.
still know where you got it from.
I forgot. I get so much stuff. I need to stop. buying.
All right, let me let's pay the bill. Who do we have to? Are we still doing the not so?
Yeah, when you do.
Yeah, okay.
we need to
Hyperspace
do
props are the official. Hyperspace props are the official sponsors of the Not So Virtual Cantina Special Edition Japan. Pre-order your credits and cosplay props at www.hyperspaceprops.com. Use your code NSVCSE for 10% off.
It's a kids show, Jonathan.
I bought mine when they were. I bought mine when they were here at the family vacation, and they're really awesome, almost as nice as the ones from the Skeleton Crew. Hyperspace props are the official sponsor. I already read that, Jonathan. Next one.
Did not work.
Is that
Come
the
on.
other one? Okay. Be sure you're following us on YouTube at Virtual Cantina Network, on Instagram at virtual.cantina network, and on X Twitter at Cantina Virtual, on Threads at virtual.cantina network, and on Hive at Virtual Cantina.
I
And
be the
on
treasure.
TikTok at Virtual Cantina. And like the VCN Star Wars Celebration Japan 2025 Facebook page.
Do you guys see the treasure?
Oh,
It's
boy.
right here.
And thank you to our sponsors and partner pages, Star Wars Book Nerds and Star Wars Comic Book Club. Thank you
It's
for
like a-
joining us.
Looks like a phaser.
May
Thanks
the
to
force
Teak.
be with you.
Thanks to Teak. My little partner friend here.
Alrighty.
think I
See you
hit.
next